A nice job with the glove there by Nick Fortes.
3-1 swing and a miss. Got a fastball by him.
Well, all of a sudden the previous pitch called a strike and it looked like it was out of the strike zone, so he comes right back with that same pitch, and Reynolds didn't lay off of it. He swung at it because he was afraid it was going to be called a strike again.
Off pitch is hit foul off to the left. Belloso last season 3 wins 4 losses, a 3.67 ERA in 13 starts for the Marlins. You mentioned he had a fabulous finish to the season, and he was really good in his first 5 starts as a Marlin in the big leagues. Getting the 3-2, and that's wasted foul. You might remember his debut in Kansas City. About an hour and a half before the game, there's Valente jogging, pacing, doing a little yoga on a hot summer afternoon in Kansas City. Pitcher today?
If you notice, Belloso for the most part has stayed away from Reynolds. He has not thrown 1 pitch inside. He's seen 8 pitches, and every last pitch has been something inside.
He's a crafty righty, and you don't hear that much anymore. That might kicked off his glove, and it rolls into center field for a 1-out single for Brian Reynolds here in the first.
See, that's my point right there, Kyle. The fact that he saw 9 pitches, not 1 pitch was inside. If you're Reynolds, you're looking away. He got a breaking ball away and hit it up the middle. Look at the location of this pitch. At some point in time, you've got to show that you're willing to come inside, and especially to this guy in the batter's box right now, because if he extends his arms, it's damage.
And speaking of extending his arms, you better be very careful with O'Neill Cruz at the plate. Here he is. And the first offering missed outside last night. And by the way, what a difference a day makes. He had all sorts of issues defensively on opening day, and he bounces back last night by going 2 for 4 at the plate with a line drive home run that came off his bat at 115 miles an hour.
He played a little angry in last night's contest.
That missed low.
With some of the things that he can do with his arm strength, his foot speed.
Strikes and he gets a cutter over for a strike.
That's where you got to pitch him. You got to pitch him inside. The location of that pitch is exactly the kind of pitch that will tie a guy like Cruz up. You got to tie him up.
Reynolds with speed at first, just underway on a Saturday afternoon. Side maybe a little low. Ben May is the home plate umpire today. Chad Fairchild is at third base. Bill Miller, the crew chief, is at second. Roberto Ortiz is at first. Looked pretty good to me.
Yes, it did.
Dare I say it looked pretty good up here. 3-1. And that misses ball 4. So Belloso has followed the Reynolds base hit by walking O'Neill Cruz. And a bit of a precarious situation here with Joey Bart, the catcher, coming to the plate.
Not the worst thing in the world. I mean, we know the damage that Cruz has been doing in the big league since he came to the show. Bart is a good hitter, but now the double play is in order. You're going up against a right-hander, and you probably didn't want to mess around with Cruz anyway. He's one of those guys, Kyle, if you don't really have to pitch to him, why pitch to him? But now he needs his ground ball.
Better be careful with those two on the bases. They can both really run. Belloso has got to keep the running game in check this afternoon. That's over in a called strike.
I was asking Nick Fortes, would Belloso give him an opportunity to throw today? And he says yes, he will. He does a pretty nice job at slowing down the running game. He mixes up.
0-1 to Bart. That's a good one over for a strike. He's 1 for 6 in the series, 1 for 2 with a run scored in game 2.
And Bart also came home on a sacrifice fly in last night's contest, where Conine in right field was a little shallow, and I think they caught our defense off guard in that particular play. But today's a new day.
There's a throwback to second. A little hesitation there on the mound for Belloso, but the right idea just to let him know that he's thinking about him.
Well, by throwing that ball back there too, while Reynolds is on second base, just allows him maybe to shorten his lead a little bit. On a base hit, might not score.
Reynolds at second, Cruz at first. To aboard, 1 out, scoreless, top 1. That's hit foul off to the right.
If you're wondering about the outfield arms that the Marlins have, we know that Myers in right field has a tremendous arm. Hill has a good arm as well. Sanoha, getting a start in left field, also has a decent arm from that left field position.
In particular, Myers out there at right.
He's got a
cannon.
hose.
Reynolds bluffs again off second, and Bart watches a fastball that misses. Pirates got steals from Oneil Cruz and Tommy Pham last night. Buccos now with 8 steals through their first 2 games. Those are the most for the Pirates through the first 2 games of a season since at least 1900. 1-2. Swing and a miss. Got him with a sweeper, and there's 2 away. Good pitch there. Breaking ball down in the dirt.
He got ahead 0-2, threw a fastball up to change.
Second, and Reynolds dives back in safely.
I like the fact that Belloso is paying attention to these base runners.
Pirates had the 6 stolen bases on opening day. Again, they did do a better job last night, only allowing the 2. Now the 1-0 to Sawinski. Boy, and again on that last offering, Reynolds has taken a couple really hard hops and leaps off second base.
Doesn't really benefit him to steal in this situation. It was 2 outs. He's breaking like he's going to steal, but if he gets thrown out, he better keep running.
Yeah, you're right. Right to the bus. 1-1, swing and a drive in the air right field. Myers going back. That's over his head. It'll bang off the wall. Reynolds will score. Here comes Cruz. Here comes a throw to the plate. Oh, what a hop! They got him. What a relay started in right field by Dane Myers to retire the side here in the top of the first. The Pirates get 1, but that's all, and it's 1-0 after a half inning of play. That top of the first inning ended.
Executed beautifully. Dane Myers, we already told you, he's got a hose out there. Look at him throwing off that back foot like Dan Marino. He gets the ball to Lopez, who has a stronger arm in the middle of the infield, and a strike to home plate to nail one of the fastest base runners in all of baseball. Take a look at the play here. Lopez, he's running, and look, he's turned already toward home plate. He already knows there's going to be at home plate, so he's anticipating it. Cortez able to finish it off with the tag.
Yeah, Derek Shelton held up play momentarily. Pirates, I think, were thinking about challenging obstruction at home plate, but the throw clearly took Fortes into the base path. So no harm, no foul. And Dane Myers, the converted pitcher, threw his best fastball out there on the warning track.
You also notice how far back Lopez was. A lot of times your middle infielders, they go way out there to get the ball from the outfielders, because Dane has such a strong arm, he can stay back is further and let Dane use his arm too.
So the Marlins trail 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the first, and getting our first look at Bailey Falter, the 27-year-old southpaw out of Chino Hills, California. Xavier Edwards will lead things off for Miami. He swings and misses at a good Falter curveball, and it's 1-2. Here's a look at some of the numbers on Bailey Falter. Last season, 28 starts. He's a bit of a workhorse.
First full season in the big leagues, 8-9, 28 starts, a 4.43 ERA. He's got a lot of run on his fastball. Nice little breaking pitch. Got a changeup. He really does well against left-handers. Not as much success against right-handed bats. That's why Clayton McCullough has mostly right-handers in his lineup, with the exception of Stowers.
Check swing on a 1-2 curveball. No appeal. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. He dealt with a little bit of left triceps tendonitis last season. And yeah, you just mentioned it. Last season was his first season as a full-time starter in the big leagues. He was a 5th-round pick back in 2015 by Philadelphia. And there's 1 away. Now we'll look at the Ocean Bank starting lineup for the Marlins here this afternoon. Griffin Conine, Matt Mervis, and Graham Pauley are all out today. This is an all right-handed lineup for Clayton McCullough, with the exception of Kyle Stowers, who's the designated hitter, batting 7th. So Javier Sanoja and Eric Wagaman, along with Dane Myers, all making their first starts of the year today. Just 1 lefty in the lineup, and again, obviously there's some intention through some starters that they're going to see. Lopez had that homer in the 9th inning off of David Bednar last night.
That last pitch, 93 at the bottom of the zone, is the pitch that Falter really needs, because our club, for the most part, they're looking for fastballs up in the zone because that's the way he usually pitches. But when he does have that cheese downstairs, he's really good.
Swing and a miss, good slider.
Let's take a look at the scouting report on Bailey Falter. Deception with the fastball. He's got a long stride as well, which means that ball gets on you in a hurry. In the strike zone. Fastball's up and then down.
That's a base hit for Otto Lopez right off the end of the bat, and he chips one into center field, and the Marlins have a 1-out single here in the bottom of the first. Lopez now 3 for 7 to start the year.
And let's set the Pirates defensive alignment for you while we have a moment. Triola, he won a Gold Glove last year as a utility player.
And Adam Frazier makes his 2nd consecutive start at second base after Nick Gonzalez suffered a non-displaced fracture in his left ankle on opening day. I read a little bit more about that this morning. He had a cranky left ankle in spring training. And I guess there were not enough tests done to conclude that there was a bigger issue, but he hit the homer on opening day. Here's Jonah Bride. It's a ball and a strike.
I have a feeling he may have not been as honest with
maybe not
management as he should have been, and therefore maybe imaging wasn't done.
Needed a little bit more than a bag of ice. Bride 1 for 7 to start the year. I missed inside. Good eye. Eric Wagaman on deck for Miami. Marlins trailing 1-0 here in the bottom of the first, but it could be worse if it was not for that terrific relay started by Dane Myers to put a halt to the top half of the inning. So the Marlins will once again play from behind for the 3rd consecutive game. At least at some point during the game, they did take an early lead on opening day, but they fell behind before having to come back from a 4-1 deficit late. They tried to do it again last night, and they got pretty darn close. Here's Eric Wagaman. Sinker on the inside corner for a strike.
Again, that pitch down in the zone because he has such great spin. Again, most of our hitters are looking for fastballs up.
Payoff pitch. We'll see if Lopez is on the move. He is not going, and that's a chopper hit towards third and foul. Pittsburgh back in 2023. Making his 36th career start with the Pirates tonight, and his 6th career start, 9th career appearance against the Marlins. He did make 2 starts against Miami last year. And again, no, here's a throw over to first before the payoff pitch. He tossed 7 1/3 a shutout ball on September 11th in Pittsburgh against Miami last year. And when he's pitched against the Marlins in his career, his ball clubs are 7-1. It's a pretty good mark. Now the 3-2 delivery. That's a ground ball hit softly right side. Frazier flags it down, spins, fires 2 away. Let's take a look at the Bailey Falter pitch arsenal. He is, I think you could probably call him a little bit, Rod, a bit of a crafty lefty.
Well, but he likes his fastball. I mean, he throws that fastball about 47% of the time, which is more than most pitchers in the big leagues. That would be the 4-seam heater. He also has a sinker. He's got a splitter and a slider, but take a look at the speed.
Extension out there on the mound. He was in the 98th percentile among all starting pitchers and pitchers for that matter in baseball last season. He really gets downhill, and I flagged down Marlins hitting coach Pedro Guerrero before the ball game. He said, look, I'll put it to you this way. With his extension, if you see a 91-mile-an-hour fastball, it looks more like 95 to 96. You really got to get geared up for it. Wagaman yanks one foul.
That's why he gets so many swings and misses. It might register at 92, but as Pedro told you, it looks like it's 95 for 2 reasons. He's got a long stride, one of the longest strides in baseball down the rubber, and also the spin rate on his fastball.
Pedro told me the average extension's about 6 feet 2 inches in the big leagues as Wagaman chops one out towards shortstop. And a long throw over to first. The extension for Falter.
To move in this fashion is the way he holds the ball on the grip. It's that same two-seam grip, but you're to see a spike in the middle finger, which is going to allow the ball to drop more and to spin on a sideway axis. Now let's keep an eye out for Valente Belloso to use this pitch today.
All right, Kelly, thank you very much. That's really good stuff. You know, another guy in Major League Baseball that's on the forefront of this kick change was Mets starter on opening day, Clay Holmes. So, you know, we had the sweeper a couple of years ago. Now the kick change is starting to make a bit of an appearance.
Well, pitching has taken on a whole nother level these days with all the labs and different things like that. Guys don't spend much time at home in the offseason. They're going to different places to learn different pitches, different shapes, and whatnot. It used to be in the older days where guys would go home in the offseason and you'd spend some time at home. Right around Christmas time, you start to work out. But guys nowadays, they're pretty much working out 2 weeks after the season is over with. It's pretty much a year-round sport.
That's hit softly out towards second base. Lopez has got it, and there's one away. You know, we have heard a lot this spring about pitch shapes and not so much the mechanics, but throwing new pitches and the shapes of pitches. The Marlins have a new director of pitching. His name is Bill Hiesel. He, along with a multitude of other coaches now on this big league staff, come from Driveline out in Seattle. It's a place that was on the forefront of this whole thing a couple of years ago, learning how to grip certain pitches, the way to make it move, the velocity, the spin rate, all of that stuff. The Marlins, you know, kind of on the forefront of that a little bit, it seems now, as Jared Triolo lifts one in the air to center field, and a couple of steps shy of the wall is Hill. He makes the catch, 2 outs.
Yeah, we're starting to see some of our players that have not had this type of technology the last few years. Now they have this technology, and it's really benefiting a lot of our pitchers. It's also benefiting a lot of our hitters as well with some of the technology they have on the offensive side.
It's kind of crazy seeing it up in spring training. I get, for the most part, horizontal movement, vertical movement, kind of self-explanatory, but you start to see numbers about tilt percentage and tilt rate and this and that and everything else. It's a lot, Kyle.
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing what they're working on. It really is, and I'm sure it's going to benefit Valente Belloso.
Even the language in the game has changed.
Here's Adam Frazier, and a cutter missed outside.
Belloso has that real slow, deliberate delivery. Then all of a sudden he comes at you with a fast arm. But a lot of times the pitch is not a fast pitch because of the grip that he has on it.
Frazier is hogging the plate, about standing on top of the darn thing, and that's a strike. It's 2-1.
Here's that delivery, nice and slow. Gets to a real nice balanced place, allows the arm to catch up, hides the baseball very well, and he changes speeds on everything, and he works the 4 quadrants of the strike zone as well as anyone on our staff.
That's a ball. You know, we just got to look at the replay of Valente Belloso. He was firmly on the rubber. We got to the bottom earlier this afternoon. The umpire crew got together early in the ball game last night, and Bill Miller's crew wanted to make sure that Connor Gillespie was not disengaging the rubber when he threw the baseball. That's what that was all about last night, as a 3-1 cutter misses low, ball 4.
Well, we thought as much upstairs. Obviously, we don't speculate all that much, but we thought that probably was the deal, especially because it was the first base and the third base umpire that huddled initially.
And I beg your pardon, that was not ball 4. Now the count is full, and the 3-2 is wasted foul. Going back and getting a look at it, though, Gillespie was really darn close to not being on that rubber when he was delivering the baseball out of the windup.
He's not the first one to do that.
No.
And you know what they say in baseball, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
You're darn right. You know, a more famous one as it pertains to the Marlins. Marlins fans might remember the name Carter Capps. That sent baseball into a tizzy about a decade ago when he would leap off the mound. 3-2 cut on and foul tipped into the hoodies, t-shirts, and more. Visit MLBshop.com, the official source for Marlins gear. That's now that red one, Rod, the City Connect, that's now a throwback. That's a vintage one. They're getting a new one this year.
Yes, I kind of dug those too, though.
I did too. I liked them. I like the red City Connects, but I have not seen that the new ones that will be debuted in the not too distant future are sensational as well.
Well, you know they're going to be tight.
They're keeping it a big secret. I wish I could spoil it, but I genuinely have not seen him.
Bailey Falter's dad Darwin grew up in California and idolized Sandy Koufax, the great Dodger pitcher. And Bailey, growing up, was taught to idolize him as well, and has a lot of Sandy Koufax mannerisms on the mound.
That's hit hard right to Triolo at first. He'll take care of it himself. There's one away.
You know, some of you may not have seen Sandy Koufax. You can Google, go take a peek at him, but he has a lot of his mannerisms because his father taught him about Sandy Koufax.
Here's my suggestion too. Take more than just a peek at Koufax, the Hall of Famer, the MVP-er, 3-time Cy Young Award winner, 4-time World Series champion, 2-time World Series MVP.
He's pitching out there today. He's got that little get me over breaking ball. He's got a real nice spin rate on that fastball. We told you he uses his fastball quite a bit, and why not? It's a good one.
Derek Hill 2 for 6 to open up the season with a double, 1 for 3 with the runs scored in game 2 last night. You had mentioned the connection with Sandy Koufax and Bailey Falter, along with Falter's father Darwin. Hanging above his childhood bed.
Right.
That's so cool. And like you said, he mimicked that of Koufax.
That's a good guy to mimic.
I think so. Go 2 to Hill. Take a look. Last 28 games. That was last season for Bailey Falter. He's got the reverse splits. You don't see it all that often.
And strangely enough, not that many left-handers play against him. We only have one in our lineup today. I think a lot of teams, if you're not the Phillies or the Dodgers or the Braves or the Mets, most teams don't have an everyday lineup. I mean, there's lots of interchangeable pieces. Guys play infield, guys play outfield, and that's the way that you have to construct your roster if you don't have those aircraft carriers like the clubs I just mentioned. Those guys play every single day, but everybody else has to do it a different way.
So no Conine, Hicks, Mervis, or Pauly for the Marlins. You mentioned the lone lefty is standing in the on-deck circle. That is Kyle Stowers. 2-2, swing and a miss. That fastball riding upstairs, and Hill swung right through it for out number 2.
That is his bread and butter right there. We talked about the long stride. We talked about the spin rate. This is why he gets swings and misses. Look at the stride where he's landing. He's way down on that mound. It's almost like he's delivering the ball to the catcher with his hand. He's handing it to him. It's almost like he's 6 feet 7 inches. And he's not that tall.
Here is Kyle Stowers. That's a ground ball. It clips Falter. Nobody can find it. That'll be an infield knock for Stowers, his second of the season. And that'll absolutely go down as a hit. Stowers deserves it. He's hit a couple of balls hard, excuse me, over the course of the first 2 games of the series that have gone for naught.
Had that game winner a couple of days ago, opening day. He told me about that swing where he really was able to get on top of that fastball against Bednar opening day. As we get a look at this swing again,